My Girl Life podcast is sponsored by Glamour Boutique. Glamour Boutique is the leading name in cross-dressing fashion and lifestyle with a physical location in New Jersey and, of course, their famous website. Be sure to use your My Girl Life discount code MGL15. And listen, I know they have your best interests at heart, so check them out. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of My Girl Life podcast. Please show me some love and subscribe to the channel and like the episode if you liked it. It tells me I'm doing something worthwhile and allows me to keep doing it. So thank you in advance. Today, I'm going to talk about firsts. No, not those firsts, dressing firsts. I don't know about you guys, but I'm guessing we all have firsts with regards to our dressing that have burned into our minds and our memories forever. And I'm going to share some of mine, and maybe some of you can relate. I know coming out firsts are huge and very impactful and very memorable, but I've already covered those in other episodes, so I'm not going to be covering those. So the first one I'm going to talk about, which I think out of all the experiences, there are few that shape every cross-dresser's journey. And the one that stands out the most for me, and I think for a lot of people, is that first moment you see yourself in the mirror. You look in the mirror and see yourself fully dressed. And it's hard to describe. It's kind of mind-blowing. It's exciting. It's transformative. And you're not necessarily worried about the quality or the perfection of your presentation. It's just transformative enough to overshadow any of the imperfections. And I know I'm sure it's different for everybody, but I think there's a lot of overlaps. I personally think when this happens, there's a switch that goes on, and I don't think that switch ever goes off. And I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Once you dress, see yourself, experience that moment, it's very addictive. It's very exciting. It opens up things inside of you that either you knew you had, and you couldn't let out, or you didn't know you had, and all of a sudden it's coming out. It's pretty amazing. As many of you, probably like me, the full length mirror became my best friend, right? How many times have we posed? Well, how many times have we gone out and got a full length mirror for our room, for our house? And lots of pictures and lots of looks in the mirror. I also at that same time remember being in a skirt and heels and how my legs looked. And that was just, I think I've talked about this in the past. I think when I first originally started dressing, there was a sexual component to it. There was a turn on to it. I'm not sure how that works, but I do know there's part of the mind that doesn't necessarily know what's real and what's not real, and what it takes in, what you see. There's part of your brain thinks it's real, and I think that's the part it touches, and it's just pretty amazing. Then came the desire to keep improving the look, the presentation, and striving to become passable. I personally don't think I'll ever be 100% passable. I don't expect to, and I don't really try to. My goal is to become 100% presentable. And I think it's important to make that distinction, because I think you can drive yourself crazy trying to be passable. And there's very few people that can truly, truly pass. And I'm talking about close proximity and interaction with people, and they still don't know. I think from a distance, if I walk in or somebody doesn't really hear me talk or whatever, I think I'm fairly passable in some situations. But if they have a conversation with me, or if they see me at any length of time, I think at some point they realize that I'm a guy, but I just want to be presentable, and that's my goal. So my first makeover, which would have been the first time I saw myself in the mirror, was a makeover with Chris from Studio Lights, back when Studio Lights was in Denver. This was a while back. And Chris did the makeover. And if you've ever had one, usually they won't do it in front of the mirror. You're facing away from the mirror. And then you have that big reveal where they turn you around. And again, that moment is very memorable, burns into your brain. He did kind of do my eyebrows a little draggish. He pulled them up with tape under the wig. which I later, I didn't really want to do that. But other than that, it was really good and it was amazing. So I hadn't thought about where I was going to go afterwards. So Chris suggested an LGBTQ bar down the street. So I went there and just kind of sat by myself. I didn't really talk to anybody. I do remember I had a lot of vodka and Red Bulls, and when I got home, I was so sick. I can't even smell Red Bull now, and definitely would not drink a Red Bull vodka. But that was a fun night. It was a great experience for getting out and having that moment in the mirror is probably the number one memorable first that I have. And lastly, the big moment for me was, the putting on the clothes and the feel of them. And we've all talked about that, how amazing that is. Even when we were young, young kids, and we didn't really know what we were doing. When you put the clothes on, it felt a certain way, but you didn't process it. But as we get older, obviously you process it, but seeing it on in the mirror, is amazing. So that's number one. Number two, and these are not in any particular order. The next one is shaving my body. The first time of feeling a smooth body, and I wasn't that hairy to begin with, but even a little hair makes a big difference when you rub your skin, and especially the legs and the chest when they were smooth. Um, that was exhilarating. That was amazing. I remember back when I used to say I get to shave, and now I say I have to shave. It that newness wears off, and I've also talked about how that happens. So yeah, shaving the body and having smooth skin was very memorable, and a great first. Next would be making a friend. So my first friend, her name is Rachel, and I went to an LGBT club here in Denver called Trax. And again, kind of like the other time I went out, I just kind of sat by myself. There was dancing. It's a discotheque. Different dance floors and bars, etc. Lots of people, and all walks of life. The night I went, it's called First Friday, and it's kind of a melting pot. There's no particular theme. It's just First Friday. So you get to see all the energy and all these people that I think probably had to hide a lot of themselves during the week. And it's Friday night and they get to go out and they get to be themselves and be around people who are like them and have the same energy. And you can feel it and you can see it. So at that time, that first time I went, I met Rachel and we started talking and got to know each other a little bit. And she invited me out to a girls' night out that they do every week where they go to a restaurant. And then once a month, they would go from the restaurant to this bar, this discotheque, and spend the rest of the evening there dancing and having cocktails and visiting. So making that first friend was pretty amazing. And for the first time, it became more real. I had somewhere to be. I had people that I knew. I had some obligations. If I said I was going to be there, I kind of felt like I needed to be there. And then you start making plans with people and this whole thing starts to become real. It's not just you putting on some clothes, looking in the mirror, and then putting them away. It starts to take on what a real woman would be doing, and more importantly, would feel like. So that was pretty cool. This also includes driving for the first time because I had to drive to these places, and driving dressed was fun and exhilarating and a little nerve wracking. Um, I don't know about you guys, but I was scared to death to get pulled over by a policeman and having to show my ID and explain. And I think back then you kind of feel like you're doing something wrong, like it's almost illegal. I say that in jest, but you think you'll get in trouble by being stopped. Now, I don't think that. In fact, a funny story, my niece's husband is a sheriff here in town, and I always worried that one day or one night that he would pull me over because nobody in the family knew. This was before I came out to anybody. And he'd pull me over and I'd have to show him my license and he'd figure out who I was. And it never happened, but it was always in my mind. Now I kind of look back at it and just kind of laugh. It's kind of funny now, but at the time it was not necessarily funny. Um, Another first was just spending an entire evening as a woman in public. And there's just something about not going to a place and kind of sneaking and then sitting in the corner or not talking to anybody. You're just kind of a fly on the wall, which is interesting and fun in the beginning. But being able to spend a whole evening where you meet somebody for dinner, and then you go out to a nightclub or go to a different bar, and you just kind of spend the evening as a woman doing all those things, ordering your food and drinks as a woman, paying your bill as a woman. That kind of caused me to get for Maddie to get her own credit card. Going into the ladies' bathroom in a public place was all part of that. So just spending an evening in public as a woman was a great first, and I still appreciate that today. Um, Another first were these events, Wildside and TGR, and they kind of coincide with the spending the whole evening as a woman, because that truly felt like you get ready in the hotel room, you go downstairs fully dressed, and you're basically bouncing around town fully dressed as a woman for the entire evening. Then you come home and you get undressed just like she would. It's just kind of a great fun experience. Specifically, when I used to go to Vegas, or really if I went to a hotel, I would get ready with my makeup and my clothes, but I'd leave my wig off, and I would put the wig in my backpack and in a change of clothes. And then I would go downstairs in boy clothes over my girl clothes, and I'd put a hat on as low as I could to kind of hide my face and pray that there was nobody on the elevator, right? I would even ask for rooms on lower floors, so I would have to spend less time in the elevator in case somebody else was there. That was real. Now I just take it for granted. But Wildside for me, and it would be TGR or Wildside, but Wildside for me was my first event, and I wasn't going to go to my car and get ready. We were meeting at the bar, at the hotel bar, and so I just got ready and I got to the front door of the hotel room, held my breath, and just said go, and did it for the first time. And I was nervous. It was exciting, and absolutely nothing happened. And I never turned back from there. So I've said this before: Wildside and TGR and some of these other events can be life changing, game changers for people. It gives you a sense of confidence because you're in a group, and then I think you know you take that confidence back home with you, and to a certain degree, and then it changes. So strongly consider going to these events and experiencing that, because it really can be a life-changing thing for your dressing and for your girl journey. Um, there's lots of firsts as part of that. Dancing was one of them. I'd never danced as Maddie, and that was fun and hurt your feet, and you're like, you got to kind of get used to that. But just little things like that you wouldn't think of. But dancing as a woman was pretty cool. It was a little self conscious because you're used to dancing like a guy, but I think I pulled it off pretty good. Next one would be like going to a public event, like a concert, or taking public transportation, Uber, Lyft, those types of things, where you are that person. You're the girl to that person, to the Uber driver, the Lyft driver. In public transportation, you can't go hide in the corner. You're front and center, and it's fun to do something that you've done so many times in boy mode, and then experience the same thing in girl mode. Kind of hard to explain. Most of you probably understand. I don't think somebody who doesn't dress probably wouldn't understand that, but just doing things that you did as a guy, doing them as your female persona is pretty cool and very memorable. Next would be Facebook. Facebook was, talk about game changer. When I got on Facebook, my whole world opened up, and making so many friends online. And yeah, they're online friends. They're not true friends that know you. But what it led to is when I did go to events, I felt like I knew these people because of our communication on Facebook. And so it was a natural segue to pick up a conversation or go up and say hi to them, whereas maybe you wouldn't meet that person. But if you've been chatting with them or liking their posts and you feel like you almost know them, it really gives you a jump start at these events. And then just the interaction, not feeling alone, feeling connected. Very similar to like when my mom was in a nursing home, we got her an iPad, and that was her connection to the world. I mean, that was everything other than, I guess, the TV. But, that she texted with the family. She got to see her grandkids' pictures and keep up with what the family was doing. Otherwise, she wouldn't know what's going on. So it was really a window and a connection to the rest of the world. And I think, as a cross-dresser, we're in a similar situation where we're probably isolated. We're probably hiding part of it or all of it. And Facebook or social media allows you to connect with people and open up your world, your female persona world. And I think that's very important. I was nervous at first. I think everybody thinks, when anybody sees them in girl mode, they're going to automatically know exactly who they are. And in some cases that can happen, but I don't think it's realistic in most cases. And I've never had any problems. Now everybody I know and my family all knows about Maddie, but back then it was a little unnerving. But if you do it, just be careful with the privacy and make sure that friends you connect with are the only ones that can see your stuff, and maybe just be careful of what you post. But anyway, and then I had to come up with a permanent name. Before I had just kind of made up a name and used it here and there, but it wasn't like a real name, and I didn't have a last name, so I had to come up with a first name and a last name, which was Maddie Taylor, and that was because of Facebook. And again, it just opened up my world exponentially. Okay, so one more, that would be doing karaoke. So singing as Maddie in front of people was very memorable. Again, nerve wracking, very nerve wracking because of my voice. And I'm a little self conscious of my voice. I don't try to sound, I don't try to talk with a higher pitch. I just want to talk natural. I don't think I have too low of a voice. I'm been fighting a cold. It sounds kind of low today, but I still think I sound like a guy. And then singing as a guy, I was self conscious. But again, nobody cared. Nobody cares. Most people don't care about the things that we're so worried about. So try not to worry yourself about every little thing, because people are just not thinking that much. They don't really care. And if they enjoy you and enjoy your company, and then I think it's all going to they're going to start to forget that you're dressed in the moment. They're just going to be talking and communicating and sharing with you. But getting up there and singing as Maddie was a thrill and very memorable. And I continue to do it to this day. And a lot of these things, I'm glad I got over that moment of fear, got over the hump, because if I didn't, um, maybe I wouldn't know what I'm missing, but I'd be missing a lot. So I think pushing yourself a little bit, and, do it carefully, do it intentionally, but take some of those risks, take some of those calculated risks. Just to kind of summarize everything, the sense that something inside of me had finally matched what I saw on the outside. And again, I'm referring to really the makeover in the mirror. The sense that something inside now is matching what I saw on the outside is pretty amazing. And I don't think you necessarily consciously think through that. But I think it's definitely going through your mind. It's definitely locked in there as a memory. And I think it comes out as a feeling. And I think it comes out as an energy, and that feminine energy. So when you do see yourself in the mirror, when you put the clothes on, when you do things as a female that you did as a male, and you have friends, and you're spending an evening or even more as a woman, I think that energy just gets released, and it's transformative. And that's when I think the dressing becomes a long-term thing, because for most of it, it doesn't go away. And I know a lot of us have purged. I've purged several times, and hopefully you can get over the hump of the last purge. And if nothing else, if you need to stop for a while, put the stuff in storage or hide it somewhere. Don't throw it all away. I know it feels part of, if you're feeling guilty or shameful, throwing it away is part of that process of getting rid of it. But if you can hold on to it, I'm pretty sure you're going to come back to it. And you tell me. Also, when I step into Maddie, it's not necessarily the dress or the heels that change me. It's that internal shift. Body language softens. Kind of a feminine rhythm kicks in. I smile more, probably, I've been told. And I let myself feel more. I definitely do that. And I'm pretty outgoing as a guy, but I'm even more outgoing as Maddie. And I'm actually a little more candid and honest, and that's led to some really good quality conversations and good quality friendships. Just being candid and not, agreeing with everything, um, and kind of developing who you are as a girl, as Maddie, and having my boundaries, which some of them are different than Jim's. Cultivating all that, it really becomes real. I think that's the the best thing I can describe is the whole thing starts to become real when you start experiencing these firsts. Take it in, write them down so you can remember them. A lot of them you probably don't have to because you'd never forget them. But I think all these first steps, whatever you want to call them, it's a revealing process. And revealing the feminine side of us in a more holistic way than just putting on the clothes. So, you know, just wearing clothes feels more like a costume now. But these things I'm describing that I did and that are first, those I would define as revealing. They revealed Maddie in me. So anyway, with that being said, that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching and listening. Appreciate your support. And I hope these episodes help support you in your journey. And be careful out there. And remember, be bold, be kind, be you.